Ask when you should start speaking Spanish and you will get two answers, both delivered with total confidence. From day one, because a language is for speaking, or not for months, because speaking too early builds bad habits you never lose. Both camps have people who got fluent. That should tell you something is wrong with the question. Here is what I think is actually going on. The word speaking is doing two completely different jobs in that argument, and once you separate them, the fight mostly dissolves. There is making sounds with your mouth alone with nobody listening, and there is holding a conversation with a real person in real time. Those are not the same activity, they do not cost the same, and they should not start at the same time. So my answer is, start making Spanish sounds today, this evening, and start having conversations considerably later than most people tell you, and considerably earlier than the strictest camp allows. Let me earn both halves of that, give both sides their strongest version, and then give you a test you can run on yourself instead of taking anybody's word for it. First, the wait camp, and I am going to give it its best form rather than the version that is easy to knock down. The idea comes out of the work of the linguist Stephen Krashen, and it is a hypothesis rather than a settled fact, so treat it as an argument rather than a law. The claim is that a language is acquired by understanding messages, and that speech emerges from that understanding on its own, the way it does in a child. Push it out before it is ready, and you are not accelerating anything, you are just manufacturing sentences out of parts you have not properly absorbed. And there is a concrete mechanical argument underneath it, which is the strongest part and rarely gets stated clearly. You cannot reliably produce a sound you cannot reliably hear. If your ear has not yet learned the difference between two Spanish sounds, your mouth will substitute the nearest English one, and you will practice that substitution hundreds of times until it is automatic. At that point, you are not learning a pronunciation, you are having to unlearn one. Now the other camp, and it is not stupid either, which is what you would think from listening to the first one. Their strongest argument is not about linguistics at all, it is about what actually happens to human beings over a year. Speaking is what makes a language feel real. The first time somebody answers a question you ask, something changes that no amount of listening produces, and people who have that experience early tend to still be learning 12 months later. People who wait in silence for a year very often quietly stop, because nothing ever happened. And they have a second point that is simply true. Speaking is a separate skill. Understanding perfectly does not automatically produce the ability to build a sentence under time pressure while somebody looks at you. That is its own skill with its own learning curve, and it does not start until you start it. So both are right about something. The wait camp is right about the mechanism. The speak camp is right about the human being. And you do not have to choose because the two things they are defending happen at different times. So here is the version I would actually follow. 3 stages, and only the last one involves another person. Stage 1 from the first week, imitation. Not composing sentences, copying them. You play one sentence, you pause, and you say it back, trying to match the rhythm rather than get the words right. This satisfies everything the wait camp cares about because you are only producing sounds you have just heard, and it satisfies the speak camp too because your mouth starts working immediately. El mono come una fruta amarilla. Say that one out loud, right now, wherever you are. That is stage 1, and you have just done it, and it cost nothing and nobody heard you. Stage 2 from around month 2, talking to yourself. Narrate what you are doing in the kitchen badly in the present tense with a vocabulary of about 200 words. This is where you discover the difference between recognizing a word and being able to retrieve it, which is a gap most people do not know exists until they hit it. And you can discover it alone for free without anybody watching you fail. Stage 3 from around month 3, a real person. Not before, because before that a conversation is not a conversation, it is a stranger patiently waiting while you build a sentence. And not much after, because that is when waiting turns into avoiding. Now, what does starting too early actually cost you? 2 things, and one of them is much less serious than the internet suggests. The real cost is fossilized pronunciation. Say a sound wrong enough times and it becomes your default, and defaults are genuinely hard to move later. That is not a myth, and it is the one good reason to do a lot of listening before a lot of talking. The overstated cost is grammar mistakes. People are told that speaking early bakes in bad grammar forever. In practice, grammar keeps moving for years, it responds to more input, and almost everybody's grammar improves long after they started speaking. Pronunciation is the thing that sets. Grammar stays wet much longer, and waiting too long? This one gets almost no coverage, and I think it is the bigger problem in practice, because the people it happens to are the committed ones. You end up with somebody who has done 2 years of listening, understands a great deal, and freezes completely the first time a human addresses them. And the freeze is worse than a beginner's because they know how much they know, so the gap between what they understood and what came out of their mouth is humiliating in a way it never is in month 2. And there is a quieter version of it. Waiting is extremely comfortable. There is always a reason to wait 1 more month, and unlike almost every other form of procrastination, this one has a respectable theory to hide behind. If you have been waiting for more than a few months, it is worth asking honestly whether you are following a method or avoiding an experience. Because the thing people are actually afraid of is not fossilized vowels. It is sounding stupid in front of somebody. That is a completely normal thing to be afraid of, and it is worth naming rather than dressing up as a study decision. So here is the test, and it takes about a minute, and it beats every opinion in this video, including mine. Try to describe what you did this morning out loud in Spanish alone, just to yourself, then notice which of 3 things happened. If nothing came out at all, no words, complete blank, then you need more listening before conversation would be useful. If sentences came out but slowly and wrongly, that is exactly the right place to be, and you should book a conversation this week. And if it came out fairly easily, you have been ready for a while and you are avoiding it, which is very common and worth admitting. Notice that the middle answer, slow and full of mistakes, is the correct one, not the comfortable one. If you wait until speaking feels comfortable before you speak, you will wait forever, because comfort is a result of having done it, not a prerequisite. Which leaves the practical question that always comes next: with whom? And the answer matters more than people expect, because the wrong first conversation partner can set you back months. A paid tutor is the safest first choice, and not because they teach better. It is because they are being paid to be patient, which removes the thing you are actually afraid of. A language exchange with another learner is free and much harder emotionally, because you are managing somebody else's feelings while drowning in your own sentence. And the option that did not exist a few years ago, talking to a machine. It is genuinely useful for stage 2 because it never sighs and you can be as slow as you like. What it cannot give you is the thing that made speaking worth doing, which was a real person reacting to something you said. Use it as a rehearsal room, not as the performance. Let me give you something to do stage 1 with right now. 4 sentences. Listen to each, then say it back, and do not worry about being right. El zorro vive en el bosque. Por la mañana el zorro busca comida. El bosque está tranquilo. El zorro está contento. If you said any of that out loud, you have started speaking Spanish in the only sense that matters at this stage, and you did it without a single decision about methodology. So, imitate from week 1, talk to yourself from month 2, talk to a person from month 3. The wait camp is right that your ear should lead. The speak camp is right that a year of silence is how people quietly quit. Both of them were describing different stages of the same process and arguing as though it were one moment. I would like to know how long you waited and whether you think it was the right call looking back. The people who waited a long time and the people who spoke immediately usually both have regrets, and they are never the regrets they expect. And if you have been putting off the conversation, the useful thing to notice is that the test above takes 1 minute and you can do it in your kitchen tonight with nobody there to hear how it goes. There are a couple of videos here that follow on from this one. Take a few seconds and pick one.